Hello and welcome to the July Recruiting Insider call. I am Kelly Anderson and sitting in a hotel in Oregon today. And Matt is holding down the studio back in Joplin at Ramsey Media Works. How are you, Matt?
Oh, doing great. Thanks, Kelly.
Man, I tell you what, I'm excited about this topic. Just so many times people, we struggle with time. Everybody on this call has got more to do than they can get done in a day. And so as I was doing my management coaching, this subject of time management came up, and man, Kelly, how do we get things done? And I just thought, you know what, we'll take a few minutes and talk about that in this session. And I've got a session just to give people a heads up. My friend Amanda Gallagher over at Stewart Transport, they are well on their way to reducing their turnover rate by 50%. They've already in let me don't say this wrong, in 4 months have dropped their turnover rate by over 25%, and their goal is to be at 50% in 9 months. So Amanda's going to be a presenter maybe next month on how they have done that. So just a little snippet on that. But having said that, I do want to tell everybody right now, and I'll say it at the end, next month's Recruiting Insider call will be on August 9th. That's a week earlier than originally planned, but I need to move that to August 9th. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead, Matt, and let you start talking about your piece. But before I said that, and then I'm going to say I do appreciate you, Matt. Thank you so much for your continued support and contribution to the Recruiting Insider. You guys are just rocking, and I know from my clients that are utilizing you guys to do their advertising, you're really targeting the search. And one thing I'm hearing from fleets all over the country is if we could find the drivers, we've got the freight. And the driver shortage is just really just intensifying more every month. And so I really appreciate you coming out here and sharing with us. And folks, if you're looking for somebody that'll really be a strategic partner, Matt does not want to be a vendor, nor do I, but want to be a partner in helping you find and build your business, then that's Matt Lee. And with that, Matt, I'm going to go ahead and let you get started.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Kelly. I sure hope everyone on the call is having a great summer. Can't believe the 4th of July has passed us. Time flies, I'll tell you. So your topic today will be good because we just need more time. Today I want to talk about 2 main instructions for your ad recipe. And it's actually from our blog series. Feel free to go out there and check that out, ramseymediaworks.com/blog. The title of the series is actually Measure Advertising Like a Chef. And basically what we're going to talk about today is advertising without a plan is like cooking without a recipe. You know, you're just feeling your way through it. A dash of this or a pinch of that. Oh, and don't forget that stick of butter. So you've got to follow a recipe, but your recipe should also follow 2 guidelines. And the first of that is that it has to complement the bigger meal. And so we have to match your overall marketing strategy is what I mean by that. And so your ad plan is a main dish, but it's just one of many courses of action to appeal to drivers. And so others would include what's your reputation and your rating out there, and the brand you've developed and the story you're telling. So I know we've talked about this multiple times on previous calls. You have to engage your drivers to help tell your story. Figure out what that story is. Why are drivers coming to you and why are they staying? And have your drivers help figure out what that story is that you need to be able to tell. And the other thing is what you're cooking up. You know, what's new or improved offerings. So, you know, if you have new equipment that's coming on board, be sure and share that through social media, through making sure that your landing pages are mentioning these new improvements and new offerings. Maybe have new equipment or new lane or something like that that's actually going to be new that we want to talk about. And so the third thing there is the table-side manners. And what I mean by that is all the ways that you interact with your customers and employees. So what advertising are you currently doing? And are you sharing that message across all of those platforms the same way? Are you telling that same message? And so you've got to make the meal go together. And if you're famous for French cuisine, but your cooks are making pancakes and your ads are promoting fajitas, then you've got a messy potluck or a marketing strategy. And that's what I'm talking about there is you've just got to make sure that you find what your strengths are, stick to them, continue to sell that story. And the second part of this is we've got to know the taste of your different audience. And what I mean by that is you've got to do marketing research. And our marketing strategy should be made to order for drivers, but we're not always certain which flavors they prefer. And that's why market research is vital, and there are two ways to get that. One, you can go shopping. So basically you can go out there. There are studies that have been done from multiple vendors out there and associations. Read Transport Topics. I mean, Kelly was just talking just a minute ago about turnover rates and things that you can do to improve that. I just read a recent article in Transport Topics that was talking about that very thing. So do research out there. Find out what it is that people are interested in, what they're looking for, what drivers are looking for in a company, and be able to tell your story that matches that. And also home grow it. I know that we, this is a little bit tougher to do just because it does take time, and Kelly's going to tell us in a minute how to integrate this into our time schedule. But we've got to do research. We do have to stop and take time and ask your drivers, hey, why did you come aboard with us? Why did you come on board with us, and why are you staying? And so they can help you tell that story. And also, do some research on your competitors out there. Figure out what they're saying and figure out what makes you stronger than your competition, and be able to carry that message across. And so those were just some of the topics that I wanted to talk about today. And again, it's all about having a recipe when you're putting together your marketing strategy. So with that, I will turn it back over to Kelly.
Hey, Matt, I appreciate it. And guys, Matt, does this sound okay on the speakerphone to you?
Yes, it does.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm having to have it on speaker because there is not a clock anywhere that I can see in this room. And if I get to go and talking about time management and then go over on time, we're in a whole bunch of trouble. So I appreciate that. So, folks, I think on this slide you can see all sorts of different comments that we probably make on a weekly basis, if not daily. Oh, man, I just didn't have time. Time got away from me. If I had time, I would do. There's just not enough time. One of these days I'm going to, and just fill in the blank, and I know every one of us has got that one hanging out there, and I didn't have enough time to get to it. Folks, the first thing we've got to do is we've got to make sure that we're not so busy doing what doesn't matter that we don't have time to do what does matter. And that's one thing I find as I talk to managers in my management coaching is you ask people, hey, how do you define success? And this goes back to our presentation where we talked about purposefully planning for intentional success. Folks, we've got to know how we define success, and then what steps it takes to achieve that success. Once we know that, now we understand what we have to get done on a daily basis. And there are some things that, and sometimes, and I'm sure you're like me, that there's people and there are things that just start taking over your calendar, and next thing you know, you don't have time to do the things that matter because you're so busy doing those things that don't. You've got to ask yourself, does this help me achieve my goal? Does this help me feed my family? Does this help me get the drivers in the trucks that we need and or to grow this business? And sometimes, folks, we have to just absolutely clear our calendar and do a take Drano to it or something. Just clean it out. I've had several times I've had to do that and just reshuffle the deck to get right back down to really what matters. And then, so how do we get there? And one common denominator of the most successful people and organizations in the world, frankly, are goals. Folks, first off, there's an acrostic for goals. Goals have to be SMART. SMART stands for specific, and so you have a specific goal that you're shooting for. Measurable. So, am I getting there or not? Attainable. Having totally unrealistic goals is unmotivating or demotivating. I can't think of the right word to use there. Anyway, it doesn't motivate people if they don't feel like they can even get there no matter how hard they work. So it's got to be attainable. It's got to be relevant as well. But you know what? When you're serious about that goal, you set a time frame on it. There are things that I'm going to do one of these days. One of those things is I keep saying I'm going to write a book, 101 Things We Do Wrong in Trucking. Folks, I'm not serious enough about that yet to put a time frame to it. I've worked on a few chapters, got it split into some sections. I add to it now and then. But folks, I'm not serious about it because I have not set a time frame on it. Something that I have set a time frame, as I think about what I mentioned with Amanda Gallagher, one thing that she's doing is she's taking the action list that we talked about in our retention seminar with them, and every week she sends out another one of those action items from the seminar as a refresher to the folks that attended the class. It is keeping the focus going. I'm continually looking at what I do, how I do it, why I do it, the results I get from doing it, and looking at ways to get better results. And so doing that has helped Amanda sending out those announcements has helped to keep everybody focused. So that's the next step that I'm taking in my retention seminar is to systemize the sending out of those reminders on a weekly basis to the people that attend the seminar. So I've set a goal that I'm going to create a short webinar like this for each one of those 50 goals. There will be a different one for every week. And I've set a time frame that it will be done by January 1 of next year, or by December 31st this year, frankly. So, when you get serious about it, that's specific, it's measurable. There's 52 of them, so how many do I need to get done a week? And between now and the end of the year, it's attainable, it's definitely relevant, and I put a time frame to it. It's going to be done by December 31st. Now, it is a larger task. So with that, I need to split it up, into, do I need to get done 5 a week? Well, so you can look at how many weeks we are out and then decide how many you want to get done per week. And that helps you to start chipping away at the bigger goal and gives you the sense of accomplishment as you get there and helps you to stay on task to get it done. Now, I got to tell you, unlike you, I'm not sitting around twiddling my thumbs. It's not like I was looking for something to do, had this extra time to get something done, and so, okay, I'll put that in there. I'll just, in my spare time. None of us are ever sitting around at our desk and never get to a point where we sit back and go, wow, I've got nothing to do. We are busy all day, every day. So how do we really work toward more productivity and, frankly, productivity on the right stuff? Well, first off, when you think about time frame, I kind of went to a longer term one there just in telling the story, but let's go to daily. I keep a little yellow notepad on my desk, and as the day goes on, I write things down that I need to get done. If somebody comes in and says, hey, did you check on this? Or Kelly, I wonder about that. And I say to them, hey, yeah, let me check on that. I write it down on my notepad. Now, I've got things that are already on my calendar. I've got things that are popping up, as to-dos that are already scheduled. But my notepad is kind of my working daily document. I had a boss that carried the notepad. He used to print his calendar every day. So as he walked around, he had this one piece of paper that it was his printed calendar, but that was also his working notepad. And as he'd go to his office, he would stick those things on his calendar on his notepad into his calendar, and then reprint the calendar. He did that several times a day. And I work off my notepad. And so first off, what that does, it keeps me from forgetting to do something I said I was going to do. Because the worst thing we can become known as, folks, is ball droppers. So I write it down. The other thing is it helps give me focus. And I decide, what am I going to work on next? And so I decide, which is going to be first, second, third, fourth. And then third, I have to have discipline that when I am working on this thing, that I don't go, oh, I got to check that out. Oh, I got to check this out. I stay focused on what it is that I'm working on, get that done, and then go to the next item. Unless, of course, we're in trucking, folks. The phone rings, you got to pick it up. Somebody walks in, you got to handle it. But I've already decided when I'm not influenced by outside forces, I'm going back to that thing that I've decided is the most important thing for me to get done. The other thing we've got to do, folks, we're so tempted to jump up out of our seat. Every time you turn around, I'm going to jump up out of my seat. I went to get something to drink, came back to my office. A few minutes later, I got to use the restroom. You'll get up and go do that. Come back to the office. Next thing you know, I'm going to go get a snack. So you run out again. I want to go talk to this person. Folks, we got to have discipline to sit in our seat and get something done. I used to make a pile on the corner of my desk so that when I did get up, I took the pile with me, and that's when I distributed it around the office. So, talking about this daily, it may seem rudimentary, but I own a bunch of real estate, and I have full-time maintenance people that maintain my properties. And my office manager was telling me, all at once, man, our guys are getting behind, and they're just not getting done. They're getting overwhelmed, and just going on. And I'm thinking, well, what's happened? One thing happened is we had a little management change. The new manager, he was meeting with his guys every morning and saying, hey, guys, this is what we're going to work on today. And they'd split and go do it. This guy would go this guy way, and this other guy would go another way, and a couple would work on this project. But they weren't writing it down. And so what happened was it became very easy. Maybe they went and worked on that very first project, but it became very easy then to get into reaction mode and just to drift after that. So once I realized what was going on, we had a meeting about it. And by the way, I kind of had to force them to do it. They didn't think it was necessary. And I was like, hey, we don't work on anything that we don't have a work order on. You don't touch it if you don't have a work order. And so now that they've separated literally their entire week, and they have a stack for every day, and each guy goes in, grabs his stack of work orders, and heads out. So he knows, as soon as I get done with this one, I write down what I did, I close it out, and I put it to the back of the list and grab the next one, and boom, charges off to the next one to get it done. And now with the same group of people, we are getting caught up and getting things done again. That's how powerful it is to have that list in front of you. I've got a client that has their fuel hauler, and he says, man, my productivity with my guys has gone down. And you would think, hey, all they're doing is they're going to go deliver this, they're going to come back and get the next one, go deliver that. But how much more powerful it was when he gave his drivers and said, these are the loads that I need you to do today. You know what it did? It gave his guys a sense of urgency. It let them know what was on the board today that needed to be done, that he needed them to do. So instead of them kind of lackadaisically putting their hoses away, maybe taking an extra 5 minutes for a cup of coffee and a chat, now they see what they need to get done. They're working with a purpose and moving on. And lo and behold, his productivity has increased. And we're still waiting on the numbers, but it's been substantial. And when you start hauling an extra load or two per day, that makes a huge difference to revenue. So that's the daily. Weekly, what is it that you want to get done this week? Folks, I'm doing management coaching with over 30 managers. So I've got 30 hours of one-on-one coaching going on. That's almost an entire week, a month. And it's amazing. I'll have 7 hours of those back to back on a day. And it's amazing. There'll be some things that I want to get done, an email I need to get sent, or a phone call that I need to make, and I still get a couple of those things done, even in between the coaching sessions that I'm doing. When you've got it written down, when you set an appointment for it, how many times is there a phone call you wanted to make, but had you not made an appointment for it, you wouldn't have got to it. So write it down, set an appointment, make a specific goal. This is what you want to get done, and that will make a difference for you. Same with monthly. And of course, some things you got to break down into longer duration, which I just talked about, and breaking them down into bite-sized pieces. Recently, my staff and I are working on a very major rollout on our e-learning division, and basically, we created a checklist for every single section of the rollout. And by doing the checklist, and frankly, ended up adding to it as we went along, which became quite long, but by making it a checklist, we were able to get focused on, okay, I'm going to get these 2 things done today. I'm going to get this done today. And we just, methodically worked our way through and checking off the boxes, getting everything done for a smooth rollout with this large fleet. So, folks, I hope that I've helped you. The thing that I find is if I make an appointment for it, that's when it comes up on my calendar. I've had an appointment. This is what I'm going to do, and then it gets done. It's not that we all at once have time to get it done. It's that we make time to get it done. It gives us that focus. Another piece there, let your people know what we're working for. When I think about recruiting, this is related to this as well. But, it's amazing the number of times I ask, I call recruiting departments and I say, hey, how many empty trucks do you have? And I'm talking to somebody, and they don't really know. Hey, how many people we have set up orientation next week? And they don't really know. Folks, if your recruiting department doesn't know what you're shooting for, how can they help you hit the target? If operations people don't know how many empty trucks there are, then how are they going to be more concerned about the drivers that they're losing? Those are a couple of the numbers that everybody in every trucking company ought to know, and that is how many empty trucks we have and how many more drivers we need, and what our turnover rate is, and then how many are getting set up for orientation next week. It helps get everybody concerned about the empty truck count and about helping to get those full. Because now our recruiters, when they know what the empty truck count is, our recruiters and how many drivers we need for orientation, they're working hard toward achieving that goal rather than just going through the motions of the job. So I hope this helps. Frankly, we could expand on this more and more, but I can tell you the two biggest things that have helped me on this, or that I would hope that you take out of this. One is the checklist. My checklist on a daily basis is my yellow notepad, and I write that way. I don't drop the ball. At the end of the day, finish everything you can off that list, then recollate the list. If your checklist has 5, 6, 10 pages flipped over, then you're dropping the ball back there somewhere. So I use the small yellow notepads or white, whatever, the small ones, like 5 by 7. And that way I don't get, and I put about 4 to 6 items on each sheet. That way I don't have so many on the sheet that I can't finish it off and recollate it. Then But at the end of the day, finish off what you can, rip off the sheets, recollate your list, and that also helps you to go home and totally not be worrying about, did I this, did I that? Did I forget to do something I said I was going to do? It helps you put a closure on the day and spend the valuable time with your family that you need to spend with your family. Secondly, so you have the checklist. You understand what you're trying to get accomplished, and make appointments for things so that then, hey, it's an appointment, and you make it happen. It's an amazing number of phone calls when you say, yeah, if I get time, I'll give you a call. Guys, one thing I don't accept is ambiguous appointments. I'm not going to sit around and just wait. So I set a time for calls that I want to make. Let's look at our calendar and figure out when we're going to talk and set an appointment for it so that you're available and I'm available and we have that conversation. Otherwise, it's not going to happen because you're never going to have time where you're sitting around thinking, oh, I guess I'll make that call now. With that, we're actually done a few minutes early, but I hope that you have found this very informative. Please do mark your calendar for August 9th at 10 a.m. That's when the next Recruiting Insider will come out, and we'll get some announcements about that here pretty soon. And appreciate everybody that's been on the call with us. Thank you.